3, 2.
Oh. Okay.
Cheers.
Well, didn't drop that one.
Without cheersing me?
This episode is not brought to you by Zevia, but if you're listening, Zevia, I drink one of you pretty much every day,
and I have been influenced fully.
It's just good. It's just good.
It's that good stuff.
And
it is so good. So if you would like to sponsor us,
we just have you right here. It's so easy. We don't require much, just an endless supply of Zevia. So anyways, we're back. Episode 2.
Welcome back.
We're pretty excited for this episode because we're talking about the ins and outs in 2025, but for coaches. Not health and fitness, but health and fitness coaching and business and all the things. So
yeah, we compiled a list and we were like, what should we talk about? And I think it's very fitting with it being January that we talk about the ins and outs, because I also always want to know everybody's little opinions on these things. And it's funny because some of the stuff as we were making our ins list, it was things that we once thought were out and we had very strong opinions on that now we feel are in, and then also things that are on the out now that we were very ride or die about at one point. So that's the interesting thing about our list as well, which I'm excited to dive into.
Welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I am your host, Kelsey Nanini.
And I am Chris Sweet.
Let's get on into it. The ins and outs of being a health and fitness coach in 2025. Would you like to start with the first one?
Yes. Our first in is value-driven content. I think that there's a lot of there's a lot of opinions on social media, and we're not saying that we're social media experts by any means, but this is coming from the opinion of people who have successfully built a business and been able to bring leads in organically to our company and to our business itself. So, when it comes to the value-driven content, it's actually putting thought into your content, actually thinking about your ideal client, thinking about your audience when you're putting it out there, and about the consumer as well. Because that was definitely something that I neglected for the longest time in my content.
Yeah, I'm kind of over. Here's 3 high protein recipes. People can go to Google for that. Yeah. They can literally go to Google. I think this goes along too. I kind of want to lump this in with another in.
Yeah.
Is that cool? Can I do that? Cool.
Yeah. There's no rules.
Continuing education. No more basic certs in 2025. I'm sorry, but just the basic things that go along with whatever your certification is through right now. Get deeper in your continuing education. It doesn't even have to be a certification. Get a textbook. Get a book you're interested in a certain topic on and educate yourself. Every time I start a new cert or I read a new textbook, I am a flood of ideas for content. You can go through the periodization of my Instagram, and when I am doing a cert, my content is A1 steak sauce. So good. But
I love that.
I don't know. I just think people also just with the value-driven content, they want to know you know what you're talking about. And when you are just posting here's 3 high-protein recipes, that's Googleable. I always say value-driven content is going to be stuff that you can't Google. It comes from your own heart and your own brain and your own opinions on things. And people want to know, and trust you before they purchase from you. And that's where value-driven content is going to come from.
And this actually goes into our second point that we wrote out as well of building a personal brand with authenticity. So it's do give the value in your content to build a brand for yourself, to have something for yourself, to not be that every other influencer on the internet posting their 3 protein ideas, put something out there. And like Kelsey said, if you're doing a certification, that is the easiest way to create content ideas. As you're reading a chapter in a book, as you're going through a module, go and create 5 to 10 pieces of content from that alone, and you will already be skyrocketing the value that your audience is getting. But then simultaneously building that personal brand for yourself. You don't have to be like everybody else. You don't have to go in and be oh, well, that influencer posted this, so I'm going to post that. It's who are you at a core? I want to know who people are, because every time I invest in someone, it's because I feel like I actually know who they are as a person and their values as well, and the value that they put out there and the knowledge that they put out there and the trust that they get to build with their audience, because they're not like every other influencer and every other coach. They're actually putting something different onto the space, or at least something that is tailored to them, and like they're talking about their story and bringing that authenticity to it as well.
Yeah, and with the personal brand, you know, I think a lot of the influencers we think of, like a first person that comes to mind that has just been an influence, and I swear since like 2016, she was one of the first people I followed, Whitney Simmons. You just see her like transformation over the years, and she was the, like, I went back in time, and when I started my Instagram, I would do like her core workouts and I would tag her, and she commented on one of them, and I got like 20 followers, and I was so stoked. like gone are the days of just posting your workouts. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but like posting your workouts and going viral, because when you do that, you're just gonna look like every other fitness influencer posting their workouts. And I'm not that that's not valuable. I think that there's a time and place to do so, but like your personal brand comes with your opinion, being yourself and being okay with like, I was so afraid to cuss. I use this example a lot. I was so afraid to cuss on social media and in person. Like I cuss quite a bit when I'm comfortable, and like, sure, that may not be the most greatest attribute of myself, but that's who I am. I never will show up on social media and have to feel like I need a filter or feel like I need to pretend to be someone else. It's like, I'm just showing up as myself, and whether people like that or not is not for me to decide, but like that will attract your people because they know you're being your real self.
Yeah. And I think going back to Whitney Simmons too, it's like, she's always said it's a beautiful day to be alive, like since like the beginning of her era of like being an influencer and all of that. So like, again, building that for yourself. And I agree, like you don't need to just be posting your workouts to go viral, because I think also the other side of that is, are people actually going to want to buy something in your brand? It's one thing if you're just posting the workouts and being the influencer, but sometimes I find that like that virality doesn't always convert to the leads that you want and build the community that you want, which we'll get into in like a few of our points as well. But yeah, I agree with everything that you said.
Oh, we kind of lumped that into like 3 things, but to wrap up that whole thing is like value-driven content, build a personal brand through your authenticity, continuing education, because that's gonna like, that will just help you so much with building more value-driven content. But also, one more touch point on continuing education is you need to stay up with the times. Like, don't be the personal trainer from 1980 that's still training the same way they did in 1980 and not staying up with current research. Like, do your due diligence, read research articles. One that I really like is Mass, and I can't remember who runs it. I'm horrible with names, but he's very smart, and it just like tons of research articles every month. It's literally $26 a month, I think, and I get to stay up on top of research. So do your due diligence, stay on top of that shit. It makes a difference.
It really does. And I think with that too, just being open, like an in is just like being open to different concepts and ideas. Like there's things that I preach now, or I talk about now, or I do myself now that like at one point I probably was like, absolutely not, I'm not going to do that. Like I'm never going to, you know, I don't know, probably certain supplements, or like when I went on my gut health protocols, guys, like I was having to restrict myself more than I wanted to, but I reaped the benefit as far as like healing my gut. So there's just so many things that I think just being more open-minded to it and seeing the benefit of that, and just realizing that like it's okay for your opinions to change, and it's cool for your audience to see that evolve too as you provide that value. It all really just encompasses each other on that.
Yep. Cool. Number 4. So this one is just the all-encompassing aspect of networking. And I think a big piece of that is, we're primarily talking to online coaches. The space is lonely. It's so lonely. I'm literally in an 8x8 room, or maybe, I don't know what the size is, but it's small. I like see people walking by outside. It's nice, but I don't see humans a lot. It's all over Zoom and maybe at the gym for an hour at a time a day, but like, build relationships with other coaches. They don't always have to be competition. And this goes with both coaches that are in your niche. Do the same thing. Chris and I, have always done very similar things. Great friends. My closest friends do the exact same things as me, but also build out of your niche so that you can refer out to other coaches that maybe you have a client coming in that's postpartum and you aren't comfortable taking them on. Please don't take them on. Please refer out and have that referral system of coaches you trust. One, the client's going to trust you so much more, but two, it's going to be better for the client. And three, it may work both ways. You may refer that client to that person, but maybe you specialize in gut health and that coach can now refer you business as well. And now you have a whole referral system where you're putting clients in the best possible spot and now you feel more confident in your coaching as well.
Yeah. I think for a long time, the first 2 years of running my business, I felt so lonely. I felt like nobody understood me. My friends and family, as much as I love and absolutely adore them, they didn't understand entrepreneurship. They didn't understand when I go on vacation, I couldn't, take off fully. Like I still had to be on my phone or I still do it. So even for the sense of, yes, networking, but then also building a community for yourself so that when you do have those character building moments or those challenging moments or the moments where your family and friends like don't fully understand it, right? You get to have a safe place because I think it's almost like therapy in a way. It's like you just deserve that safe place and that person that you feel really comfortable with. And by doing the awkward reach outs to people of like, hey, I really like your content or I really like what you're putting out. Like, I'd love to connect. I'd love to set up a Zoom call with each other, or like set up a phone call and we can both be on walks or whatever it may be. Like it builds accountability, but it also builds this normalcy for you as you probably dive into a world that very few people successfully stick to for a long term. And that is the biggest thing, is just having that accountability for yourself. The same reason that you hire a coach, it's like going into having those friendships. It's accountability for you to have that and have someone who's grounded in the same thing as you.
Yeah. CEOs are quite literally insane. Like we are crazy and not a lot of people get it. Not a lot of people get entrepreneurship. And like Chris was saying, it's so nice to have the flexibility as an entrepreneur to just up and leave. Like I could book a vacation next week and I don't gotta take time off. It's so cool. But it also comes at the, like, we have to also work while we are away. So it's definitely different. But just having your people, I think, is so helpful. And also bouncing ideas off of them. Like, finding the people that are okay with that, too, in the industry that aren't just going to be like, gatekeeping, which is, we'll talk on later, but having the people who will be upfront with you and give you honest feedback and don't see you as a threat, I think is huge too.
It is huge. It really is. And I think when Kelsey and I went into our merge, like a conversation that we had is like, we never saw each other as competition. Like we never were like, oh, Kelsey's my competition, or seeing what she's putting out and almost being like jealous, envious, or anything like that. It actually created a collaborative space for us. Like it created a friendship that could be collaborative, because so many entrepreneurs need that. Like we need to see this as a space where we can grow together, and there's plenty of people, plenty of leads, plenty of fish in the sea to go around for everybody, because all of us have this gift. If you're in coaching and that's something that you really aspire to, or you're an entrepreneur, like you have this pull for a reason, but you don't have to see everybody else in the space as competition and feel those feelings. Like, yes, there's going to be probably moments where you see something online and compare yourself, but when you can really build those solid relationships and you have someone who's just as invested in watching you grow as they are themselves, it's really, really nice. And so Kelsey and I talked about that. We were like, we're not competition. Like we've never seen each other that's not the reason that we're merging. It genuinely is like, we can just do this so much faster together, and we have that really similar vision, which came from networking and open communication and talking very candidly on business and struggles and all of that stuff. So it all really encompasses into each other. So I can't say it enough. Like if there is anything that you do after this podcast episode, it's like go message 5 to 10 people that you genuinely want to connect with, like that you genuinely want to get to know, because maybe they do something similar to you, or maybe they do something different. Maybe you want to try to bridge a gap in your own company and have a contact in something else, or maybe genuinely you feel very lonely on your journey right now, but you are in full control of actually making those connections, because I guarantee that whoever you reach out to is feeling the exact same way. Like, and you might be shocked that they do, but they probably feel so similarly or have at some point in their journey.
Yeah. This is also a total side note from something you said that I was walking away, is if you find that you are someone who compares like yourself to others and see other people as competition versus as a collaboration, and you feel like there's not enough clients out there, or they're going to take your clients, and like you just can't find clients, again, total side tangent, go to a concert, go to a sporting event, go out in public and just see how many people there are. Like when you're in a stadium with 60,000 people, you're like, holy shit, there's definitely leads out there. Like you just have to like put it in perspective. There are millions of people in the world. Like leads are not running dry. That was such a side tangent, but it just came from something you said. So
no, I love it. Yeah.
Which community building kind of goes off that, if you want to touch on that too. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like, it's really building that community for yourself, even within like your client space, like having that community. This can be hosting retreats. It could be hosting Zooms. It could be honestly attending retreats, like going and putting yourself in these like really uncomfortable places. I attended my first ever international all women's retreat in May this past year. And it was the scariest fucking thing I've ever done. Like I was going into this, I almost canceled the trip. I almost didn't go. I was like, no, me? No, me socializing? Absolutely not. Like with a bunch of strangers? Like, no way. I came out of it with a community of women, with people who I trust. And I think like Kelsey and I talk a lot about this for like adulthood and adulthood friendships. They ebb, they flow, they change it. Like being in your 20s and 30s, I can't speak on 40s, 50s or anything like that yet, but like 20s, 30s, like going into that time frame, it's so hard friendship wise. Like it's hard enough that you need to put yourself in spaces where you can build your own community that maybe isn't your childhood best friends or your high school best friends or your college best friends or those coworkers that you had before you went into entrepreneurship. Like it's okay to grow that. Again, that can be internally in your business where you want to do retreats or host Zooms or just have like small group stuff for your clients. Or that could be a grander scheme of putting you in rooms and in spaces where you are going to grow more. Kelsey and I already have at least 2 or 3 retreats that we're going to go on for our mentor this year. Wow. With a group of women who do similar or different things than us, and it all really encompasses in together that like we're putting ourselves in these rooms so that we can grow and so that we can have a community for ourselves, especially as we dive into new ventures in business and new, I don't know, ventures in life too. Like it's so nice. Like neither of us have kids, but we have a lot of entrepreneurs around us who have had kids now. And you know, when the time comes for us to do that, it's like we have a community, and that is what makes these decisions in life and business and whatever you're doing so much better, because you're putting yourself in those rooms, as scary as that is. Like I will say that every time I go into a retreat, I'm like scared. I'm like nervous. I'm like, I've done this before. Like, why am I nervous? I'll be seeing the same people and I'll still be scared for some reason. But you almost have to just like take that fear and you just have to go with it. You just have to see that fear is just you doing something that you're probably really destined to do. And you're really nervous because you're like, you've been waiting for a moment like this. Like that's how I like to look at fear sometimes.
Yeah. And on the other aspect of community building too, you mentioned with like clients, I had a really great community when I first started my business. Like we were popping off. You know, they had their own like Snapchat group, like my clients did. I was not in it, but they connected, which was so cool. And I honestly just through the ebbs and flows of my business lost that. I felt like because I was taking on a different type of client that, you know, like when I started coaching coaches, I was like, oh, like community aspect isn't as neat. And I kind of just let it slip in my business, honestly. I knew how awesome it was and how much my clients loved it. And I just let it slip. And I had a client just come to the end of contract and didn't re-sign because she mentioned she was missing the community aspect. And I was like, oh my gosh, I let that like totally slide. And I didn't think it was important, but I also, that's one of the things of an entrepreneur is learning along the way and realizing things that you maybe let slip. And I realize how important that is. And it's something in our merger that we're really, you know, making sure our coaches, assistant coaches that are with us are taking, you know, making sure that they're keeping that community aspect alive and us too as well. But it's so important. Like I said, like online coaching is very isolating, and bringing that community aspect in is so important so that they still feel like they have people who are like-minded.
Yeah, so absolutely agree. Moving into the next is diversifying revenue streams. So it's so easy to fixate on like one revenue stream and just be like, oh, like one-on-one coaching, for example. Like we only want to build one-on-one coaching and I'm only fixated on that. I would really focus on diversifying that. I think that, you know, the climate that we live in now, there's like a lot of different avenues for making different streams of income and revenue for yourself. This can be through sponsorships, partnerships, collaborations, affiliation codes, even for yourself, like creating that for other people too. If you run a coaching company and you want to have a referral system, that's one way. Start to get into other people's referral systems. There are like incubations there to be like, hey, I would love to refer people to this. Like, do you have a referral program? Right? Creating those partnerships where if you send someone to somebody else's program, like going into the networking, even at that point, it's like being able to get referrals, getting those, is it called kickbacks? Is it kickback?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Getting the money, right? Mm-hmm. And even like the Amazon, having your Amazon affiliation code, whatever it is now, storefront, like having those things, just those little things to diversify your income streams and setting goals around that too, because it's easy to get fixated on one. And I think a big thing for me that I honestly learned in 2024 is like just different streams of revenue is really important and can be of high value to you, especially as you scale something, and even having different offers within your business, like having 2 to 3 different revenue streams within one singular business, I think is really good to have. Like for us, it's like having a subscription, having one-on-one, having our courses, having ebooks that people can buy, like having just different stuff like out there. I think it also saves you energetically too, depending on what you want to push out that day on social media. You can push different things and have those different streams of revenue coming in.
Mm-hmm. I have nothing to add to that.
Love it. Well, I'm excited to go into our next point because
yes,
both of these were things that I resisted the heck out of. Like, I was like, absolutely not. You won't catch me dead. Our mentor, Kendall, if you are listening, because I refused to automate anything in my business. Like, the amount of times that my own mentor would tell me, you need to do this. And I'd say, no, I don't. I can do it myself. Why would I automate anything? Like, really? I'm me. I'm a human. So going into this next point, I'm going to blend two together. It's automations and AI.
Yes.
I said it. The in for 2025 is AI. At this point, Google has AI. Our own coaching training app has AI generated stuff. ChatGPT exists. AI is everywhere. It is everywhere. And when it first came out that AI was taking over the world, I was like, absolutely not. You won't catch me dead.
It's terrifying.
Nope, won't happen. Like, robots are going to take over the world. Like, have we not all seen the movies? Have we not all seen the movies where the robots take over the world? Because that is immediately what I was thinking. And now, I'm not saying I support robots, but I do support AI to a degree on that. Because I was like, why would I use AI? Like, I have me. And then when I started seeing other coaches start to use AI and how quickly they were starting to do things and how quickly they were then scaling their businesses because of it, and honestly creating ease in their systems and in their business by using AI and automations, it's like, all right.
Yeah, and I will say as well, AI, I use like ChatGPT sometimes. It scared me so much. I'm like, it's going to know what I'm thinking about. It's going to take over the world. We're all going to live in this metaverse. Like, it was terrifying, but we created our mission statement, our values, our vision statement off AI. It's like we put forth, I think being a coach is, I always say it's so challenging. It's not like you're just selling cameras. Like, to sell a camera, you just need to know how to sell. But like, to be a fitness coach, and now in today's day and age, you have to sell. You know how to sell, know how to market, know how to coach well.
You have to write copy for everything.
Write copy, have a really great caption that attracts people. But like, on top of running a business, knowing finances, all of those things, which is nice, we can now separate. We can do those things separately. But like, then at the same time, you need to stay up on your continuing education. You have to know what the fuck you're talking about and coach your clients. Like, being a health and fitness coach is harder than I think people realize, because you have to know the business side, but you also have to know the actual application side and getting clients. And so I feel like AI just takes away that it is, in some ways, AI is probably making us dumber. In other ways, it's making us work smarter at the same time, because you're not having to write copy for everything. You're not having to come up with a mission statement on your own. You can have a very well-worded mission statement that you can, obviously change the wording of to make it more of like your voice, but it's taking the guesswork out. It's like having a virtual assistant That's just super fucking
who
smart.
literally talks for you, like who literally
Yeah.
speaks for you and can translate things for you. Like we have a team and we'll sometimes have ideas and they're like, did you actually mean this? And we're like, yes, we did, right? Like it happens like that. That's just it. And I think too, you guys would be probably really surprised the amount of people who are leveraging AI that you don't think are.
Yeah.
Like I think that's another thing is so many people are hiding that they're using it, and I'm gonna fully transparently say like I use it. I do want to say that there's a line here where I'm like, we're not using it to build programs. We're not using it to, provide client protocols. That's where the continuing education comes in. You do need to know your shit in this industry because AI.
You can tell if it's AI.
You can tell.
You can tell.
Fully tell. Like, I know. It's there.
We can see it.
We can see it. I can see right through it. But when it does come to efficiency, or if there's like a weakness that you feel like you have when it comes to writing copy, writing emails, or you have like an idea, like even our mission statement, our vision statement, and everything in our values, like we had the idea for it, but we didn't know the right way to translate that. We could have sat on a Zoom for 3 hours just trying to figure that out. Or you can plug it into ChatGPT and they translate it really well for you, and then you get to create your own voice out of it. So again, it's something I was so resistant to when it first happened and when it was first even being suggested. And now everybody's doing it. Again, even people you don't think are. Like I guarantee that they're using it to some capacity. And you just don't need to spend the amount of time that you are on certain things that AI can speed up for you in the process. And then automations as well. Like there are so many different automations that can be formed. And again, at first when I was getting into coaching, I was like, well, I want it to be me. Like I want everything to be coming from me. I want every email to be sent from me. I want every onboarding message, every link, everything needed to be sent from me. I think it was an ego thing. I think it was a pride thing. I think it was this, I'm going to always be this person. And now I see the efficiency of it. Because again, when you're an entrepreneur and you're a coach, whether you're an assistant coach, whether you're running your own business, whether you're the head of the business, whatever it is, like there are things that can be offloaded that don't all need to be sent by you, but they're created with the intention for your client to be provided value, usually a lot faster than you can do by yourself too. Like I can get things out faster to clients because of automations. I can stay more organized because of it. I can actually send out links, or the automation can send out links faster than I can send them out. It just, you're not slipping on as many things as you may have felt that you were before. And suddenly a task list that is 30 different things can reduce down to maybe 10 to 15 because half of those things can be automated in your system.
Yeah, it's not forgetting. I can't tell you, like, before I was the same way. It was totally a pride thing. Like, my coaching is 100% custom. So now every single email will be, like, no. Like, it's so easy to automate things. If you are a coach running a business and you do not have Monday.com, pause this podcast and run to your computer and download Monday.com.
I would like to add that if Zedia will not sponsor us, Monday.com, we've got your back.
Literally, if you are not using Monday, it can automate when a client's program is coming to an end. I know Trainerize also does that, but or like your app also. I hate Trainerize. Everfit also does it. Everfit is great. Everfit can also.
There's so many things. Everybody could sponsor us.
But like there's automations on Everfit, like onboarding process, so that your clients are taken care of. Because the last thing you want is, even if it's not coming from you, the automation's still coming from you. You had to set up the automation. And I'd much rather over communicate with my clients through automation than forget to communicate something without an automation and then them feel like they're not taken care of. So if an automation is making my life easier and it's also meaning the client knows what the fuck's going on, automation forever. And I think the last point I'll say is it's irresponsible to say AI is fake or AI is blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do it because I can just do it myself. Same thing with automations. Because like Chris said, other people are doing it. And if you want to keep up with the times, you have to do it. Also, AI can literally come up with content ideas for you. So stop saying you don't have ideas for content, because AI can also make them for you.
Preach. I feel good on that.
Drop.
Boom.
Cool.
The next one I'm excited for, because this is also a hot take, and something that I did not do for a long time in my business, was being selective with the clients that you bring in. This can also just be like being protective of the energy of your energy in your company. Not only does this protect you, I feel like it protects your clients and it protects the integrity of your business. It protects the honestly just the vibe, like the energy that you want for your clients. Because when your clients are investing in you and your company and going back to community building, it's like this should be a safe place for them. And I think being selective on who you bring in to create a arena of like-minded people when so many people need that is a huge thing. For the longest time, I would bring anybody into my business, like fully transparently I would, because I was so focused on making money and hitting those months and being pushed to do sales. Yes, financial stability is important. Yes, building your business is important. Yes, KPIs, stats, all of that. But also like you're important. Like your mental health is so important. Your energy is so valuable. And if you are bringing people into your business that do not value that, like it's really hard to be passionate. It's really hard to continue to grow your vision when that's what you're being met with every day. So the in of 2025 is bringing in really the clients that you want, like really protecting your energy in that process as well.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like just soul-sucking clients are hard, and also it just comes at the expense of like you didn't do the due diligence to know what they needed. Because, or maybe it wasn't communicated well, whatever the fact is. I think it's just really being careful about who is coming into your program to not only protect your energy, but to also like, if you have assistant coaches, protect their energy and also doing what's right for the client too. Like if you can't help them because you don't align with them, it's a whole slew of issues. So,
and this will improve your client retention. It'll improve your client satisfaction, fulfillment. Everything will be better when you get selective with who you're bringing in and you create almost like a vetting process for who comes in. Like if you're talking to someone and you're like, this just isn't my person, or if there's red flags of that person, right? Like it's okay to turn someone away. And I think I did not have that permission for a long time because I was, again, so focused. My vision, I felt like, was fogged by you need to make 10K months. You need to make this. And less of, hey, your energy is really important and you need to protect that. So there is no shame in setting boundaries in 2025.
All right, next up. Please do your due diligence and hire a mentor, but also research the mentor first. Don't just go to their Instagram and look at what they post. Don't just go to their website and see what their copy looks like. Find people that are in that container and ask for their honest opinion. There are so many people, which I don't think this is a tangent for right now. There are so many ex-fitness coaches that are getting into business coaching. That shouldn't be. Sorry, but it's true. This is an unfiltered podcast. Now, on the flip side of that, there's a lot of ex-fitness coaches that are in the fitness business because they built a great business, but they were more passionate about business coaching than fitness coaching, and they are really great for the job. Like our mentor. Shout out Kendall. She's amazing.
We love her.
And I think it's just so important, like having a mentor, not only for business though. I think this can go for a mentor of anything that you feel like. I think having a mentor in every aspect of your life, if obviously financially you can afford to do so, is huge. Like a business mentor, a fitness and nutrition mentor for yourself, a mentor that's going to help educate you in terms of like how to coach. That's what we do. But I think these two things at the end kind of like lump together of finding a mentor and hiring your own coach.
I also want to add to like work with a mentor for a longer term than you probably expect. Yep. Like this goes into when a client comes to you, right? And they're like, hey, I have 50 pounds to lose and I want to do that in 3 months. And they expect this like full transformation to happen and they just expect it to happen really fast. And you know, realistically, this is going to take a long time. This is going to take a year. Like you're not just helping them lose weight. You're helping them do so many other things in their life. Like we know that there's so many different layers to helping somebody. And the same goes when you're hiring a business mentor. It's going to be a long term. You have to be in it for the long game at that point. Like it's going to be a marathon, not a sprint when you're building your business. And that was something I needed to be told and I needed to understand myself, because at one point I was in the sprint. I was just scaling, growing, doing everything. I was like this robot and I was just expecting it to happen. And then maybe it does happen really fast in the beginning and then it slows down and you don't know what to do and you panic, right? And that's like, again, relating it back to health and fitness. Some people have lost weight really fast and then they expect it to always be like that. And at some point it doesn't. It It just won't. The thing that gets you to lose 20 pounds isn't always going to be the same thing that you can duplicate to get you to lose another 20. The same way that things that get you to build a 10K month in business isn't going to be the same things that get you to build 30, 40, 50K months, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Like, there has to be a process of you committing to the long term. And with that, being open to the things like AI, oh my gosh, I just had like a hiccup.
Goodness.
Getting so passionate. AI, automations, like all the things that exist out there, like getting really okay with that stuff, because that is going to help you in the process. But really working with someone longer than you think. Like, you set a timeline, go ahead and like 3x that timeline, because it's going to take time. There's always something that you can learn. With that, if you do feel like you have outgrown a mentor, you feel like you've kind of reached that capacity, I think communication is really important. Like, I've been in those scenarios where I've worked with someone and I'm like, hey, I feel like you've gotten me to the point that I can be at. And I think an ethical mentor will also agree to that. Will be like, yeah. And then also will refer you elsewhere too. If you're genuinely at a point where you need to learn something else, like, for example, there's going to be AI experts out there. There is, right? And maybe certain business coaches are only going to help you to a degree with AI. Maybe you want to go work with an AI expert, or you want to go get a business mentor that specifically specializes in that. That might be something. So looking at it that way and being like, okay, this is going to take a longer term, and just committing yourself to that, but then communicating when you've kind of reached felt like you've reached the capacity that that person can give you, and knowing that there's still growth that can happen with a new mentor or somebody out there.
Yeah, and I think with the mentor thing and staying with them long term, it's also like, it's making sure that you align with them, and the other part of it is that they aren't being prescriptive. And that goes along with obviously fitness and nutrition as well, but making sure that your mentor has the best interest in your specific business, and they're not just giving you a framework that every single one of their clients follows, because you have to feel good in your business as well. And kind of just going off of like a business mentor, if you are a coach in 2025 and you do not currently have a fitness coach, or you have not had your own fitness coach in the past year ish, please hire one. Like, doing your own, like, one of my clients does it really well. She's a coach, and she's like, why would I do my own programming if I'm not paying myself to do my own programming? It's just taking time out of my time that I could be spending on my business or on my clients. And like, we get so burnt out serving our clients because we're so invested in their lives that it's hard to do our own fitness and nutrition. Like, I would not be doing it if I didn't have a coach.
And something I want to add to that is professional athletes have coaches, and they did not become professional athletes by not having a coach. They've had a coach since probably their earliest memory, right?
Yeah.
And you don't see professional athletes out there saying, well, I'm just going to coach myself in the off season. I'm just going to do my own thing in the off season. I'm just going to, fuck around and find out. Like, they're not doing that.
Patty Mahomes is not out here slinging touchdowns without Andy Reid.
Correct. And that's something that I think coaches need to be reminded, is that yes, you can coach yourself. We all can. I have a coach though. Kelsey has a coach, and it is something I will always preach, is that having a coach gives you time back, is a return of stress. You get to take some stress. You also get that safe place to talk about things, like that community again, that networking that you get. Like, there's so much that can come out of working with a coach that you might not even recognize yet. And maybe you just need to be open to that. Maybe you just need to open your eyes to like the scope that can happen when you're working with a coach and having someone there. And what Kelsey and I do is we get to create that for people. And that's why we're really, really passionate about coaching coaches and coaching high-level people and coaching entrepreneurs, because I know firsthand the support that you need sometimes, the extra push that you need, or the accountability, or just that return of stress, or not walking into the gym and being like, okay, well, I guess I'll just piece my own thing together again, right? And not having your own program that you're literally preaching for your own clients. When you get to walk the walk, talk the talk, one, it allows you to push someone else to invest in your coaching, because like, who are you to tell someone to spend any dime on themselves if you won't even do it yourself, right? If you are making the same excuses as your clients, respectfully, people see that sometimes. And when people can see that you're investing in yourself and you believe in that, I think one, it creates a creative flow for you on social media to get to open up about your own health and fitness and bring that authenticity to it. And you just get all these ideas and these concepts and this relatability now to your client who's coming in and doing the same investments. In my opinion, you get to objection handle better, your sales will be better, your delivery will be better because you're learning from someone else in the process too. So hiring your own coach and mentor is like, if you're not doing that in 2025, you're not, like, I'm sorry, everyone's going to be on their rocket ships and you're still going to be down at earth and you're going to be like, what did I do wrong? Like, we're all going to be growing with somebody because somebody else is helping us, and start to look at yourself like the professional athlete, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think, like, one of my biggest pet peeves is coaches who are unwilling to invest in themselves. I'm like, if you are constantly getting clients who you're getting on calls with and they're giving you objections of, I can't afford it, I have to think about it, all of those objections are also going to be direct reflections of yourself. Are you investing in yourself? Because frankly, if I see a coach who's unwilling to invest in themselves and bettering themselves, I am not investing in that coach. Like, I'm investing in the coach who is investing directly back into themselves, because I know that if they're directly investing in themselves, they're going to be investing more in me. So, like, don't have that, what is the word? Just minimalist mindset. What is it? Oh, that's the word I'm trying to think of. I don't know. Anyways,
Words are hard.
don't be afraid to invest in yourself in 2025, which brings us to
The outs.
outs.
The outs. We're breaking up with these. 2025, we're breaking up with her. Number one, going back to social media. Well, really, this kind of goes for everything. Not even social media, just like full trend chasing, fad chasing, all the chasing.
I can't even tell you trends. I've not looked at a trend in years, in any aspect.
Again, I think that this goes back to bringing in brand authenticity. You can't just follow what everybody else is doing. Like, you can't continue to do that and expect yourself to grow, where you post something that somebody else posts and then it builds comparison for yourself too. If you're not doing, if you hop on a trend and suddenly that trend doesn't go as well for you as somebody else's does, you kind of just get bogged down on yourself. Like, you're just like not the most positive person. So really focusing on building authenticity, doing your research in the space, right? And then when it comes to even health and fitness trends and fads and all of that, they don't work long term. Like, you got to build something for you. Like, build the individuality that you need in your lifestyle, in your mental health, in your business, like all of those things. And finding somebody too, going back to mentors and coaches, finding someone who's going to provide that for you, like the true individuality that you specifically need, and you don't feel like you're hopping on a trend or a cookie cutter program or anything like that. We're done with those.
Yeah, the basics never stopped working. Like, it's like basics in coaching, basics in social media. It's just like we try to be so fancy and overcomplicate it. On the topic of social media and trends and all of that, it's like, also leave behind your obsession with your follower count, your engagement on posts. Like, no one fucking cares. If you only get 1,000 views on a reel, imagine if you had 1,000 people in front of you right now, how freaking cool that would be. Obviously, viral content's super cool, but I will say, every time I've had a reel go viral, I've never had a reel go viral with 100,000 followers that were all ideal. Like, it's not gonna happen. So stop chasing the viral content and start chasing the polarizing content that's gonna attract your people, because your people are there. I don't care if you have 500 followers. I don't care if you have 500,000 followers. It doesn't fucking matter, unless those followers are also people who actually want to buy from you or just connect with you. People that you actually want to connect with. Like, social media is for connection, and I think if we just use it more for that and think more like, I'm going to post this content because if it helps one person, I did my due diligence and I did my job. Like, I just come at it from a point of helping and coming at a point from just being able to, like, almost have fun with social media. I feel like you will let go of so much stress in, what am I going to post today? What am I going to post tomorrow? I need to plan out my content. Like, that shit's so stressful. Let it go.
Yeah, and I personally do business mentorship. And, you know, the biggest thing I see with people is like, well, when I post my content, it only gets, 100 views, 200 views, 300, whatever, like whatever amount. And I think the same way when you're a fitness coach and you're coaching someone, you're trying to tell them, like, hey, your worth and your goal and your outcome is not affiliated with the number on the scale. Like, it's not affiliated with X amount of number. Like, yes, we all tie in a number to success in some way. Like, I think immediately that's where our brain goes. Because just even growing up, that I feel like just when you're setting goals, like that's the biggest thing. It's like getting a good grade in school. It's like there's always been a letter, a number, like something there that we think we have to reach. And when you look at telling a client, preaching to a client, like, hey, if I lined up 10 women that were 150 pounds, like, some are going to have your dream body, some aren't, right? So if you line up all these content creators that have 100,000 plus followers, some are probably going to have your dream outcome, and others are probably going to have the entire opposite outcome than what you expect that they actually have on their page, simply because you're tying 100,000 followers to really successful businesses. And that's just not the case. I know some very incredible business owners that have 10,000 and less followers. Like, you don't need that, and nor are those people a smidge concerned about going viral. Like, again, is it fun, right? Is it fun? Yes. Like, it's fun when something pops up, and yes, you can give yourself a little pat on the back, but like, similar to Kelsey, anytime I've had something go viral, it very rarely brings in my ideal client and the person I want to serve. Going back to the end, bringing in those clients who, like, you can protect your energy and they really, really, really align with you. Create content that attracts those people. And who cares if it only gets 1,000 views? Like Kelsey said, if you were in a room with 1,000 people, that's pretty freaking dope. Like, that is the coolest thing in my opinion. So,
also, unpopular opinion, I actually like hate when my stuff goes viral because there's a lot of mean people out there. Like, I try not to let it bother me, but people are fucking awful. And I hate when things go viral. I'm like, I'd rather just let's keep it where it's at.
yeah.
So I don't know, that's just personal opinion.
Absolutely. It's building your community, like protecting your community too in the process.
Yep.
Going into the next one though, which is like kind of the premise of our podcast, a big out is gatekeeping. One, going into the fact that like people can search anything nowadays. Like, people can literally, your ideal client or your leads who are in your inbox, like, they can go Google things. They can go to AI. They can figure things out nowadays. Like, in comparison to like circa 2019, 2020, before everything like really, really, really popped off in social media, where I do feel like there were truly less resources for people. In this day and age of social media and just content and AI and all of that stuff, your client can kind of figure it out. Like, if you're not giving it to them, somebody else likely will. So I think this also ties into community building, being in mentorships, all this stuff. We are in a very collaborative mastermind where a lot of people share their stuff. Like, you share your Google Sheets and Monday boards and automations and all these things that are working really well for you. And again, it's not that we're sharing these things and thinking, oh, this person's going to steal all my leads and, you know, my business is going to be less successful if I share XYZ, whatever. It's more of like, hey, we're all in this together and there's like enough to go around. So why are we gatekeeping all of this information? One, again, from our leads, when this is information that they can probably find elsewhere for free. But two, from people in your space or people in a mastermind, or if that's your hesitation of joining a program sometimes, there is a lot of like, it's like sharing is caring. Like, why are we gatekeeping all this stuff? It's just not cool anymore.
Yeah. So, I have nothing to add to that either. So, I'll push on to the next one. One size fits all coaching models. You can't help everyone. I know we want to. Coaches are by nature just helpers. We want to be useful, but honestly, like, one size fits all cookie cutter stuff, it just doesn't help people anymore. And maybe it does initially, but over time, if you're just doing the same program over and over and over, and there's no periodization to it, there's no variety to it, one, that's boring as shit. Two, it's just gonna stop working eventually. Like, there's just a need for more niche down things. And it's not to say that two different people with two different goals can't go into a program and achieve the same result, but just having a program that is built for a specific type of person. And I'm not saying that it has to be a person named Tommy that's 56 and has 3 children named Bobby, Sue, and Polly. Like, it's not with a career as a doctor. Like, he doesn't need to be that specific. Just have someone that, what is the problem you solve? What is the issue that you're solving in your coaching? And I think just having that specific niche, you'll be such a more quality coach, and you'll attract your people. I think that there's a scarcity mindset. That's what I was thinking of. Scarcity mindset around, like, if I niche down, I will have a smaller business. But it's quite the opposite. You just have to give it time. You can't expect immediate gratification when you are niching down your program to fit a certain mold. It's like, it's going to take time for people to come to you. It's going to take time for them to get used to you being in that certain realm. But over time, I promise, if you stuck to it, your clients will love you, they'll rave about you, and your business will be so much more successful. It's going to pop off if you give it time.
And I have nothing to add to that. So correct.
Yep.
Moving into the next thing is neglecting email lists. I think that maybe this is just like a hot take, but I think that Facebook groups are kind of dead, in my opinion. And I think that moving to email lists, not in the way of like spamminess and all this stuff, but I think email lists like can be a great place to create like more, again, authenticity in your brand, like blog style stuff, right? Where you have an email list where you're talking about yourself, a couple of like emails, right? Or talking about your own journey or taking people like through a story or showing a client transformation. I think having the space to be able to do that, but then also going back to like the gatekeeping, providing value to the people in your email list, creating a community in your email list, which then will allow you to sell better. Like you are going to be able to make sales more passively and launch things, and things are going to be easier for you because now you have this email list, you have this another avenue and pipeline of people that isn't this like dead Facebook group, because Facebook groups can be really demotivating in my opinion.
Yeah.
To simply put that.
They're weird, and I just feel like, yeah, Facebook groups, I don't know. I never got into it, but another one we have on out is discount culture. I feel like I hear a lot of times, like, I always do really well at Black Friday and never will the rest of the year. Frankly, I'm kind of tired of discounting my services. If you're only selling when you're discounting, it's because you're discounting too much, too often. Be confident that your program is priced properly. And if you aren't selling, it's either one, you're not providing enough value for free, two, you haven't found your people, or three, you're really like, maybe your program is too much. Like, I think there is a culture right now around like charge your worth, but you have to remember what your worth is. If you just got into coaching in the last year and you're charging over $500 a month, I'm sorry, you're charging too much. Like, experience matters. Having evidence that your program works matters. And I think there is such a thing as charging too much too soon before you really are settled in the realm of coaching. My words right now, or podcasting kicks out of me, but it took me a while. I started charging $250 a month for my coaching, and now it is in the 400s, but this is the 5th year of my business running. So like, it takes time to increase prices, but also just like, maybe you are discounting too often. Charge your worth, but properly charge it, and don't feel like you always have to discount.
Yeah, what I see in the world of like business mentorship and with the clients that I mentor specifically, it's like they want to constantly discount their thing, and then you're building this brand on social media, this reputation on social media as the discounted coaching, right? It's like, oh, well, I'll use me for example. It's like if I'm launching or discounting something every month, right? Or every other month, or if I'm giving something away for free every month, I think there's a fine line. You can give value, you can give free, you can give discount, you can give back to your community, but you don't want that to be your brand and your reputation, where if you're starting to do that, people are going to start to have the thought, oh, well, I'm just going to wait for the next time Chris does that deal or does that launch, or, oh, she always runs this big thing. Yeah. Maybe you take a Black Friday off from discounting. Like, truthfully, a hot take, maybe you do. Like, maybe you just say, hey, I'm not going to do it this year because I want to really change that brand around. You're not going to get the instant gratification. You may not make as many sales, but you're pricing yourself more appropriately. You're bringing in probably more bought-in leads because of it, not just somebody window shopping, chasing a deal. You're bringing in someone who really wants to work with you specifically. I personally don't think I have actually ever invested in a coach who's done like a deal. Like, I think when I've gone to hire a coach myself or a mentor, it's never been off of a deal. It's been because of the value that person that I know can give to me and can solve the current problem that I'm working through, or that the gap that I need to bridge myself. So yeah.
Yeah. Amen, sister. Hustle and burnout culture. Been there, done that. And it's kind of like periodization for your clients, right? I mean, if you're not periodizing, we can help with that. Please periodize your training and your training for your clients. But same with like nutrition. Everything should be periodized in your life. There is a time to grind. There is a time to hustle. We are not saying those things are bad by nature, But if you are constantly burnt out, you are constantly stressed to the nines, that is not okay. Right now, we are both hustling. We are burnt out. My husband's like, you need to slow down. And I'm like, I will in Q2. We will slow down a smidget. But also, like, most of 2024, I was pretty, like, steady and just kind of, I was grinding, but I was also, like, not grinding like I am now. And I think, like, when you're just constantly, like, I have to work all day. I wake up at 4 a.m. and then I don't go to bed until 10 p.m. and I work until 8 and I don't do anything, but I work and I go to the gym and I come home. It's like, life is meant to be lived. And if, obviously, there is a time to grow and grind, but if that's all you're doing all the time, for what expense? Mm-hmm. Like, you can't, if you're not living your life at the same time as being able to make good money and grinding it out, then I don't see the point of the hustle and grind.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And exactly what Kelsey said, right now, we're in a grind. Like, there's time to grind. There's time where you have deadlines and projects, but it's all for the sake, like, we're grinding for the sake of being able to rest. Mm-hmm. Like, we're grinding for the sake to be able to take that vacation, to be able to spend more time with our families, to be able to have a family, to be able to do those things. There's a level of grind where, like, when I started my business, I was working a 9 to 5 on top of my business, on top of training clients in person, on top of all these things. Like, I was working a lot of freaking hours in a day, but there's been seasons of life where I get to push forward, pull forward, like, all this stuff. And also don't look at rest as, like, this off track thing. Like, you don't have to say, like, oh, I fell off track, I have to get back on. I think when you use the verbiage of off track and on track based on levels of productivity or levels of grind or levels of whatever, it skews and takes away from, like, the success you have had and what you have built and grown. And I remember, like, I told Kenneth, my husband, when I first started my business, I said, if I can just get 10 clients paying $300 a month, I will be happy. Like, I remember saying that verbatim. We lived in our very small apartment in Florida at the time. And guess what? I hit that. But then it created this flow of, like, okay, but now I've hit that, but that's not enough. Like, now I need to do more and more and more and more and more. And to be completely honest, it built, like, in the beginning of my business, a life that, like, yes, I was making money, but I wasn't happy. Like, I wasn't happy in my life. I wasn't happy in my relationships. I wasn't myself. I wasn't who I wanted to be from an authenticity standpoint, because I felt like I became this robot. And I think you lose yourself in the burnout and the grind. And there's time for all of it. And I wasn't giving myself the periodization of grinding and growing, but then also allowing myself to rest and digest. Like, truly giving myself the balance of both. And if you're feeling the burnout, maybe ask yourself, when was the last time that you took a Saturday off? Like, when was the last time that you unplug from social media for a day? And I challenge you to go do that. Like, take a day, a week off of social media. It's hard when, especially as entrepreneurs and coaches, your entire business is ran from a phone. Like, your clients can reach you. People can reach you. So what boundaries can you set, like, in order to give yourself that rest? Because that is going to impact the quality of your coaching and, honestly, like, the delivery that your clients are getting. And then other areas of your life too. Like, giving your clients a good result requires you to also take rest and to take care of yourself.
That really leeways into the next piece too. Mm-hmm. This is probably one I could talk about for a whole episode, and I think we probably will, but neglecting client feedback. I don't want to get fired up on this one, but kind of like we mentioned in the first episode of, there's not too many coaches out there, but there's not enough quality coaches. If you are just coaching based on prescription, and this is just how I coach, like, doesn't matter who you are, that's a cookie cutter program. A customized program is not coming in and doing the same thing for every client. And if you aren't willing to listen to a client's biofeedback and change what's happening, change the course of it, that's not coaching. It's just prescription. You should just go be a pharmacist at that point, right? Like, please care about your clients enough to take an extra hour out of your day to change their programming when needed. Care about your clients enough to listen to their feedback and be like, oh my gosh, you may be having more significant gut issues that we do need to go get looked at more closely by a functional team or by a doctor or by a registered dietitian. Have the integrity to be okay with going off of plan when it's needed based on your client's feedback. And that kind of, not just like in coaching, but also like if they're giving a survey that they're unhappy with coaching, take their feedback seriously. Like obviously they're feeling away for a reason. Don't be so proud and don't be so, wrapped up in your own system of I'm the best to neglect what your clients are telling you. Like you run a business and at the end of the day, you have to take feedback and actually do something with it.
Preach, honestly. Like, again, I think everybody has a level of stubbornness in them, and I understand when you have a process and a system and a thought or whatever, but going back to one size fits all, that's just not what it is. Like when you're working with someone's health is going to look different for every single person. Every case that comes in is going to look different. So absolutely listening to your clients, both what they're telling you actively in the coaching process, what they're telling you when they've exited. Maybe you get a piece of client feedback that's not great. Like they exit and they fill out the survey and you feel a little crushed, or your ego takes a little hit because of it. But it's like, take that and learn from it and grow from it and apply something into your program then, right? That's gonna improve for other clients too. But yeah, that's the biggest thing there. Going into the next one is just like a solo mindset, like really breaking up with the thought that like you're the only one that can do everything in your business. Like delegation, and again, the reason that we're merging is that we recognize that two people can do things a lot faster than one of us can.
And better.
Way better. Like there are so many other people out there that have a skill that you are probably lacking that could be filled so quickly, but your ego is kind of getting in the way. The stubbornness is getting in the way of that. You think like, I don't need someone else, I can do it myself. Delegation is what got me to where I am today. Like, and I will fully attest that and believe it and preach it. It's like, I didn't get here by myself. We're not sitting here today without a team of assistant coaches who help serve our clients, assistants who help with us on the back end, sales positions that help us create sales faster, get leads faster, mentors who have been able to give us information faster, and our own coaches who have been able to teach us things and help us get to our own health and fitness goals faster. Like we did not get here by doing it all ourselves. We came here by delegating out areas of life and business.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to be proud of that too. And like just a lot of coaches are former athletes. And I think that you develop a level of work ethic and you're like, I can do it all on my own. But like, what if like someone else could do it better? That's so freaking cool to be able to like just have that ability to do so. So don't be too proud. It's okay to ask for help. And it took me 27 years. I'm 29 now, mind you, to ask for help. So yeah. You're not too proud. You're not too good for help.
Yeah. And also if you have a team, like go shout them out because
literally
they're doing so much for us. Yeah, they're doing so much. Going into second to last one is pushy sales without nurturing your leads.
Ugh. There's a certain level of objection handling. Objection handling is, I think, a touchy subject. I like how our mentor goes about it, though. She's like, you really shouldn't have to objection handle because, like, someone coming to you and wanting to coach with you and work with you they should already be warmed up because you're yourself. You're authentic on social media. You've provided the value, like we talked about earlier in the episode. And, like, if someone's literally there telling you, I can't afford coaching, and you work through that with them and you finally get them onto, like, a payment plan and they come, like, I've just been a part of this situation where someone's like, I literally can't afford groceries. It wasn't in my business, it was in a different business, but like, I can't afford groceries this month and I need to cancel. Like, it should never come that far. So like, nurture your leads and be okay if they tell you no at a point, because eventually if you care for them enough and you give them enough value over time, they will come back. It doesn't have to be a right now. It could be in 5 years, but if you're playing the long game, 5 years down the line, that's awesome that somebody is finally coming and investing in you.
And I think especially with the goal of you need to build sustainability in your life and business, you're not going to do that, one, if you sell every single person that comes on the call right away. Like the amount of people that we sell, a lot of the times the sales that I do is actually past leads who have come back and said, hey, I couldn't, 6 months, a year ago, whatever it was, but they come back because I nurtured them, because I had authenticity in my brand, because I was an ethical coach, because I didn't make them feel uncomfortable on a sales call. I was a human with them. And in this day and age where it's a very hard world that we live in, I think treating someone with kindness, again, sales, there is a level of objection handling that can happen. That is healthy. That sometimes like needs to happen for someone to commit to themselves. But it doesn't have to be bullying somebody into it, making somebody not be able to pay for the groceries. And also, again, going back to selling like just people who energetically drain you, like setting boundaries is really important throughout this whole process. So don't feel like you have to go into every single call to sell somebody. Go into it as like a connection point. Like, let me go in and let me connect with this person and see if they're genuinely a good fit for the program. And if due to finances, due to whatever, they can't commit, let me create a nurture process, sequence, whatever it is, that is going to make them continue to follow me, going to make them continue to want to, you know, subscribe to the different little things, the free things, like all that little stuff. And then a podcast. And then eventually they'll commit to it at some point, because you are the person, like when they think, the way I like to think about it is I want someone to leave a sales call and still think down the road, if it was a no right now, maybe in 6 months when they're like, okay, I'm ready to invest in a coach, I want me to be number one on their list. And I'm not going to be number one if I made them feel really uncomfortable. Like, yeah. And I've been made uncomfortable on sales calls before. Mm-hmm. Like, I've definitely been pushed uncomfortably to a degree. And that's why I think leaving people with kindness, leading with support, and again, not gatekeeping, like genuinely guiding people on your social media makes them really invested with you and makes them want to buy down the road.
Yeah. And that ties into our last point too, is selling anyone who breathes into your program. Like we kind of talked about that in our ends, is, you know, being energetically aligned with someone, being goal aligned with them. If I get on a sales call and I don't really feel comfortable with like the client, I don't feel like we really connect that well. Like I want my people in my program. And if I feel like I'm talking to a wall, like I don't really want to have you in my program. I used to, like in the very beginning of my business, if you were breathing, if you were on the call with me and you had a credit card, I was like, fuck yeah, you're in the program. And then like it led to issues down the line, and I just like fell out of love with my business. And I knew deep down, I was like, I'm a fucking good coach, but like I don't want to coach anymore. And like when you get to that point, it's probably because you're serving people that frankly aren't a good fit with you, but you just wanted money. And that's the scarcity mindset as well. Is I'm not really an energetics person, and I know there are people that are. Like I'm not in that realm. I'm learning about that realm. But like if people aren't in my same energy and my same excitement and my like same just passion for fitness and nutrition and that kind of thing, like I don't really want to pull your teeth to try to get you to join just because you have a Chase Sapphire card available in your fingertips.
Yeah, I think that it comes down to your energy, and it comes down to the biggest thing out of this podcast episode, I think, has just been like boundary setting and energetically making the correct decisions for your business, for you, and recognizing that like the energy you bring to your business is impacted by the energy of the people that you bring in, like the people that you are serving daily, like filling your cup. Like, are you working with clients that genuinely fill you up and like get you excited and then make you want to get on social media and talk about them and like hype up your clients, right? And then they're now hyping you up, and now they're sharing the thing that you just posted on social media, and now you're creating that community that you want. You're not going to get that when you're selling literally anybody with a pulse. Like, and I did the exact same thing. Like, if you had a pulse, come on in, baby. Like, I'll figure out a way to help you, right? Like, there's going to be a way. But then guess what? My client retention sucked. My client feedback sucked. Our ratings weren't the best because I wasn't serving people that were taking it seriously, right? It's not that I was delivering, and I can say I wasn't delivering a bad service. It was that I was bringing in people who weren't ready for the service that I provided, right? Mm-hmm. And that's also not to say that you get on a call with someone and let's say you're like, oh my God, that was a terrible lead, whatever, da-da-da-da. I've had people that I've had sales calls with and respectfully have not signed them in. And then a year later, they come in and they're this whole different person. Like, I think also recognizing that, like, people change, people grow, like, that's fine. But, like, if right then and there on the call, there's a shift in energy or you just know you can't serve that person, it's okay to say no. Like, it's okay to refer them elsewhere. It's okay to admit that. I have said that on sales calls of like, hey, I hear you. I love your goals. I love everything that you have. Respectfully, in my retainer, this is what I focus most on. I think that you need something that's a little bit different. Here's my suggestion. Here's who I can send your way. Does that sound good? Because also nobody wants to waste their money, right? And if you're bringing someone in, they don't want to waste their money. And I think that when you can show yourself that way, you show yourself as an authority, and you show yourself as an ethical coach and entrepreneur in this space, which is like the biggest thing for reputation.
Yeah. And I just want to close with this whole episode, kind of wrapping up everything we've talked about. Our ins and outs involve a lot of the things, kind of like what Chris said at the beginning of the episode, is things that have happened over the course of us being in business and that we've learned along the way. So maybe our outs are your ins that you have to learn. Like maybe it is something that you do have to sell your soul this year. Like you have to learn these things, because sometimes it coming out of our mouth is like, oh no, I'm still going to do that thing. And until you like have to learn on your own, and maybe it is a little bit of a, trial and error thing and finding what works for you. Like we aren't prescriptive coaches. So obviously take what we said with a grain of salt, but also take it as like, oh shit, like I have been doing that and maybe I do need to change that. And maybe letting 2025 be the year that is a little messy and that you get out of your comfort zone a little bit more. And maybe the things we said in this episode, you maybe felt a little bit triggered, and that's okay. We don't have to agree on everything, but I think just taking what we said, being willing to grow and being willing to use it as like feedback for yourself. Because I know it can be hard to hear things and like, oh shit, I do that. Like I have, I do X, Y, and Z in my business right now and it's working, and it's like, that's okay. If it's your business and you feel good with it, or it's something you're doing and you feel good with it, awesome. But just, we wanted to kind of share what our takes are and things that we've just learned from, and hopefully you're taking what we've done and what we've messed up on over the years and not doing it, because it's a lot easier road if you're learning from those have already driven on that road.
Or if anything, like this can be a permission slip. Like again, that itch that you've had of like, this just feels weird, this just feels off. Like I've listened to so many great podcasts where I'm like, I just needed that validation. Mm-hmm. Like I just needed someone to say it for me to almost be like, cool, got it. Like that, like, yes, I'm going to take my own advice now, or take that like intuition, like that little intuition in you that's telling you, hey, this doesn't feel right? Or hey, I want to try this instead. Like podcasts are great because I think they just give you that awareness over something else. Again, you don't have to agree on all the points, but they're things that we've come to the conclusion that work for our business. And going back to one size doesn't fit all type of thing, like the same goes in business in all different realms and forms, not just, health and fitness coaching. So I hope that this was insightful for you guys to see from like two people who have been in the online space for at least 5 years each year, and being able to just see that there's so many different things you're going to learn, and like you're going to make mistakes. It's like the same with dating. It's like there's probably things at one point that you did tolerate that you're like, oh, I learned my lesson, I'm not going to tolerate that anymore. Like the same truly goes in business and in fitness in all different facets. So you're going to see us like tie in so many different things here, but I am glad that we got to share that with you guys. And if you want to listen, again, we'll be back next week, Wednesdays, and you can follow us via all of our handles in the bio, and follow, rate us, whatever the steps are. I
do all the things.
Don't know. Do all the things. Share
Help
this.
us grow.
Yes. Yes. And if you did like this, if you guys also like, I'd love to hear your ins and outs. Like send us like what you're
comment yours if you're on YouTube. On YouTube, comment your in and out for this year.
I would love to hear it. Like I want to hear what the biggest takeaways are from this. I want to hear your takes as well. Like your opinions also can very much be heard and like welcomed here, because it's meant to be unfiltered. It's meant to just show all the things that we learned. And at one point in my journey, I could not proudly speak on these touch points. So like, there might be things that you're just evolving in, and that's cool. Mm-hmm. That's so cool that you get to grow and you get to evolve, and eventually you get to have really cool stances on stuff, or more specific stances on stuff. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next time.